Too many people get caught up in, oh, well, how deadly is this snake? Well, if it kills one person and that person's you, really all you need to worry about.
I think everybody who works with snakes and venomous snakes especially gets that question. What's the most dangerous? Or, yeah, do you have a top 10 list or something like that?
If you are killed by the top snake on that list, or you are killed by a snake that is barely recognized as venomous, you are just as dead.
We need some way to chart and do research, and that's the only way it's acceptable. So that's the only way why we talk about LD50s and stuff. But to the lay person and to some hurt people, they think that's the end-all say-all.
Survival comes out to, it really is a lot of different factors besides just how potent or potentially lethal venom is. When they do animal studies of LD50, it's a fairly crude analysis. You take mice and you give them some venom that comes from a standardized snake, and then you see how much is required to kill the animal.
With things like the mouse LD50s, they're only a reasonable approximation, or a very gross approximation in some cases, as far as potential human effects.
LD50s are on rodents. We are not mice. We're not allowed to use death row inmates to practice on. And so there's no way to know what an LD50 is for a human other than estimate it.
It's hard to predict from different animal type to different animal type how a venom is going to react. Two good examples of that. One are the saw-scaled vipers, which occur widely through the Middle East and Northern Africa, where their mouse LD50 isn't terribly remarkable. But through one fluke or another, their human impact is much more dramatic than would be predicted. And this makes them one of the most medically important snakes. We're not sure what it is, why it hits us so much harder than it does some of their other native prey, perhaps because we're completely immunologically naive to it. There's been no selection pressure on us to become resistant because venom evolution is a complex chemical arms race between predator and prey. But a different example is with the Sydney funnel webs, which evolved in the complete absence of any primate in Australia. And all the funnel webs hit humans much harder than you would expect. But there's other things that you might have, things that our particular biochemistry makes us more sensitive to it, but also you need to take into account how much venom you're getting.
You don't ever really know how much a snake is injected into an individual. As I said, the snake may have just fed, or they just don't have a lot of venom this time of the season, or depending upon their on their diet, or the snake may have gone through your shirt and thought it went through your skin and squirted a bunch of its venom into the space between your shirt and the skin. And by the time it gets to your skin, it doesn't have much left. So there can be a lot of reasons why you see this disparity between a snake that seems more deadly but doesn't necessarily kill an individual.
The lowest LD50 animal isn't the animal that kills the most people. The one that kills the most people is the saw-scale viper, and followed by the Russell's viper. And they're not even in the top 50 for LD50s.
I'd rather be getting bitten by a more toxic snake that has less venom than one that's a bit less toxic but proportionally has dramatically much more venom.
Your inland taipan, for instance, is supposedly our most venomous toxic land snake, although there's never been a death recorded from an inland taipan.
I tell people this: you get shot with a 22, you get shot with a 45, it's called bullet placement. You're just as dead. There's no degrees of death.
Okay, if you want to compare a black mamba to a gaboon viper, would you rather get hit by a Mack truck or a train?
What is an LD50? 50% of the mice die, 50% of the mice survive. Which 50 are you?
It makes no sense to me to categorize this as the deadliest and this is the least deadly. Dead is dead is dead.